USA women's basketball, but trying to claw out of this 0-7 start in conference play. And very simple for Nell Fortner. Her team just struggling to get some scoring going.
There's one team you don't want to play in the ACC right now, and it's Georgia Tech. They are so close in so many games. Stringing it all together, 4 quarters in a row. That's the key tonight. Syracuse is hot right now. This is a defensive battle, though, Andy.
Their team to play fast, play free. They've simplified some things coming out of the Duke game, and we'll see if it can pay dividends for her and the Yellow Jackets tonight as Syracuse controls the tap.
Well, you're going to see Syracuse make a lot of passes. A lot of people are going to touch the ball. They have a saying, touch your teammate, touch the ball, move the ball. And I'm telling you right now, one thing that they emphasized is defense from Georgia Tech and how to attack it.
Hyman pulls the trigger, short on the 3. Good box out by the Yellow Jackets and Kara Dunn. Take a look at our starters in a moment. As that's slapped away by the Orange. Georgia Tech once again starting a pair of freshmen in Noeto and Dunn. Kayla Blackshear averaging a double-double over her last 3 games. And Tonie Morgan, that 3rd freshman, rounds out Nell Fortner's 5. So for another game, her 2 leading scorers on the season will start off the bench. As Lewis clears the miss for the Orange, and we look at the Syracuse starting 5. No real changes here. Fair, Hyman, Woolley, Wood, and Rice.
So one of the things I appreciate about both these coaches, you see old school basketball with new school methodology. As you see the putback right there.
It's Elena Rice. Here's the blow by Morgan, and she puts the Jackets on the board.
Answering runs. We saw that in the last couple of games for Georgia Tech. Answering one shot for one shot. Making little runs string together. These are the important things right now for the Yellow Jackets.
This will likely not be an offense-optional night for the Yellow Jackets. They are defended by the freshman Morgan, off to her former teammate at Buffalo, Georgia Woolley. Hyman with his pull-up. Offensive rebound in the grasp of the Orange, but it comes to Noeto.
We talk about controlling the offensive boards. Both teams emphasize that as well. They're defensive-minded teams, and as you see the scoop and score right there.
Now he missed Noeto with the stop and go along the baseline, the freshman from Spain.
She has been on a streak, my friend. She has been a difference maker for Georgia Tech being in these last 3 games.
Coming off 3 points against Duke. Push the Jackets on top, and there's a travel on Woolley. And there's Noeto showing some craftiness in her game.
Yeah, the craftiness coming in underneath, little scoop and score. You see her hesitate, go by, just like you draw it up in practice. And on the defensive end, she's a stealth. She's the kind of person that when you say 3 deflections equals 1 steal, you just don't, you think, oh, is she really doing anything? And she's just quietly making a big difference.
Lifts the screen, kicks to Morgan. Blackshear from the mid-range. And the rebound pulled in by Woolley. Syracuse, 76 points per game. That's 3rd best in the ACC. Boy, it can feel like a cat chasing a laser pointer trying to defend Dyaisha Fair as the freshman Morgan gets in her stance. Fair played all 40 minutes against Notre Dame on Sunday, just 14 points. And you know someone is hot when you say just 14 points as Morgan reaches up and reels in the rebound. Orange have begun 1 of their first 4.
Andy, one of the things I appreciate about getting to sit alongside these great coaches is just seeing how they approach the game, how they approach practice. But you know, when they start practice with defense, something different's going to happen for that 90 minutes.
Oh, the big run on the floor, and the lay-in falls for Kyra Wood. Wood, 8 points and team-high 9 rebounds against the Irish Nazis at 4.
Wood's a great story. So many great stories in this conference, and you have to dig into these websites and get into them. We don't have time to talk about them all on camera, but
the step through Won't Adenaz was stuffed by Lewis.
So Won't Adenaz, she has been a force in between the blocks. If just one person between the blocks can step up for Georgia Tech, that will be a difference maker for them in the long haul.
Yeah, something Nell Fortner talked about when we visited with her before her shoot-around today, needing to have some post presence, whether it comes from Won't Adenaz, whether it comes from Hermosa off the bench as Georgia Tech retains possession.
So at this point in time in the season, teams are either getting better or they're getting worse. You're just thinking about next year. I'm telling you, at practice the other day for Coach Fortner, it was like so high energy, so high octane, and every shot want the kids that work so hard. You want every shot to fall for every kid.
Guerrero can't get that shot to fall. Woolley, former MAC Freshman of the Year for Coach Jack at Buffalo. Did she kick that off her foot? She did. Quick hands by freshman Kira Dunn forces the SU turnover.
And that's where you just got to go with it. You got to say, all right, get the ball, get going the other way. Officials, Dee Cantor, Brian Brunette, Carla Fountain. These are all WNBA officials that go deep into the tournament and just like whatever they say is right.
Woolley will get an exit early. She actually kicked that off Morgan's foot, but he glanced back off of Woolley. The deep steal Dawn. Goes glass, no.
Oh, boy. Just inches every time. They've had every look between the blocks, and that's exactly credit to the Syracuse defense.
Oh, the drive, the draw, and the dish to an open Wood. And that was all set up by Hyman. Orange take the lead. This is a team that wants to get in the open floor, and Nell Fortner knows her team has to be on high alert in transition defense. It is probably near the top of every ACC team scouting report against the Orange. Morgan to the glass off the side of the backboard.
I like the effort. I like the fact that she's taking it to the rack. Syracuse not phased at all. You're going to see them make one, maybe two passes in some kind of pattern, and then they're just going to let the players play. Talk about playing free. This is a team that does it.
Oh, watch out. Big collision under the basket. Won't Ananas cleans up her own miss, and she'll have a chance for a three-point play. Hyman collided in the fast break with Blackshear. They played on, and Won't Ananas was able to clean it up.
Let's watch this replay. Wona, what? I mean, that is just effort right there. Coach Nell Fortner yesterday saying multiple effort on defense and multiple effort on offense, and have fun while you're out there, but just don't quit. Just relentlessly attack the rack.
Foul was on Wood, her first. Team's first. Won't Ananas' first free throw attempt of the season, believe it or not. A 6'3" senior. Kind of odd that somebody who plays around the rim has waited this long to toe the free throw line. It stays a 6-6 game.
So interestingly, she won the free throw for her team yesterday. Oh, it just came down to that one free throw, and she's the one. I like how the high hedge on the defense. I like how they're getting the ball out around the perimeter, not letting it cross court.
You got to run these shooters off the line. The floater by Hyman's off the mark. The rebound ripped in by Morgan. Very good guard rebounder for Nell Fortner. Tries to go coast to coast, but no look to Blackshear, and she was well defended.
Blackshear's just got to put it back up. Sometimes you say you press a pressing team. Well, sometimes you push up the floor against a team that pushes up the floor like Dyaisha. I'm telling you, this kid is special. Dyaisha, just mark it down. Dyaisha Fair, mark it down.
She makes it look easy sometimes. Her first bucket puts the Orange in front.
Yeah, but she was all smothered and covered with defense and just nothing but net.
What was that Waffle House defense? Sounds like smothered and covered. And here she is on the run out. Off to Hyman, in rhythm, and down the well.
And when the two of them get going in tandem like this, that's a great call by Nell Fortner. That's exactly what you want to do.
Saw the Orange get out and transition a little bit. It stretches the Syracuse lead to 4 as we've hit our first timeout in Atlanta. Syracuse has made 4 of its last 5. Kyra Wood an early 6 for the Orange. And on top of Nell Fortner's Yellow Jackets 10-6. It has been a grind on the offensive end this year for Georgia Tech. Tag just 3 of 14 to begin. Nerea Hermosa in for the first time. Aviance Carter joins Georgia Tech's lineup as well. But it hasn't been for lack of post touches. Georgia Tech is getting to the rim here in the early going, just struggling to convert.
Great timeout by Coach Nell Fortner to stop the momentum and the tandem there. You see that it sets up the full court press. It doesn't matter. All that matters is they've got Syracuse on their heels a little bit. 2 of those baskets fall, and it's a tie game.
Bianca Jackson also in for Georgia Tech. Florida State transfer. It shows what Nell Fortner is trying to do to find any kind of answer offensively. Her 2 leading scorers by average this season, Swartz and Jackson, coming off the bench. Fair, wide open, lets it fly, can't knock it down.
So this is what happened with Duke the other day. You got your big-time players missing a couple of shots. This is where Tech has to take advantage of this. Little pump fake can take. Swartz with a little bit of hesitation there. You cannot hesitate against Cuse right now. The Orange and their defensive prowess. I'm telling you, both these teams, it's just so refreshing as a former coach just to see the emphasis on defense when so many teams are just flying and shooting every chance they get.
That was Fair with the active hands on Swartz, and though she won't get credit for the steal, Dyaisha Fair also second in the ACC in steals.
Yeah, slices, she dices, she steals. She deals.
The jumper by Strong. Rebound cleared by the Orange. That was Lewis working hard along the baseline. Leads to a pull-up for Hyman. Might have been deflected by Hermosa.
I like Swartz's effort right there. I like Swartz's effort to come out, and they have to reset now just because of that extra hustle.
The coaches talk about having to make multiple effort plays, but not a lot you can do when Dyaisha Fair is getting to the paint.
Multiple effort. So I don't think there's a stat for this, but I feel like I set more screens for more All-Americans than anybody else, in the country. I'm telling you, when you have a player like that on your team, just give her the ball. Same with Hermosa right there. Just get in there and let her go to work.
Hermosa with the offhand can't convert. It's a 6-0 Syracuse run. They come up on the 2-minute mark of the first quarter. Hyman puts it on the deck, takes it to the rack. The runner doesn't fall. The rebound won't out of Naz.
I like how Naz is pushing it up the floor, and that's what Swartz has got to do. It doesn't matter.
And Swartz fouled on the 3, and we'll see if that can snap a 3-minute scoring drought for the Yellow Jackets.
Swartz is so smart this way, Andy. I've never seen a player just be able to use the momentum of the other team to get these 3-point fouls like this. I mean, she's just so smart. She stands in there. It wasn't a flop, really. I mean, she just took advantage of the contact.
It was interesting because it didn't look like Asia Strong jumped into Swartz. It looked like she stepped in front of her to box out, but that was the collision, and they still call it in the act.
But Swartz keeping the contact. Most players would sort of shy away from contact and let that, you wouldn't get a foul called. She stays in there and she takes the hit. Look at her; she's taped up from head to toe too. She looks like a, like a what do you call when you put all the injury plays or whatever. She's not injured in all these places. She's got all these different sleeves and things because she's always on the floor. She's always diving. She's always hustling.
And she is a frequent visitor to the training room at this point in the season. A 3-of-3 trip for the senior from Marietta, who's coming off a season-low 3 points against Duke. Jackets active on the trap. Jump ball to call. Arrow gives it to the Yellow Jackets. That
is the defense that we're talking about from KB. It wasn't the first effort. It was the second and the third and the fourth that caused the turnover.
Collision at midcourt. They'll tag Rice for the foul.
So again, a great job by Bianca hanging in there. Watch Bianca Jackson just hang in there and take it on the chin. You got to meet every pass against this team. Okay, so a matchup zone. The matchup zone, it feels like a man, but it plays like a zone. The key versus a matchup zone, you have to run your man offenses.
Oh, Swartz turns the corner and lays it in. A 5-0 flurry by Cam Swartz to pull the Yellow Jackets within 1.
This is the kind of effort, multiple effort, that Coach Fortner was speaking of yesterday in practice.
Georgia Tech will need to have an assertive Cam Swartz on offense tonight. Rice wriggling her way free. Offensive rebound and the foul on the stickback as it was cleaned up by Wood.
Just real impressed with Wood and her effort on the offensive glass, on the defensive boards. She just, last game we didn't get to talk about my lunch pail player of the game. I forgot to award my lunch pail player of the game. Syracuse has a hard hat that they give out after every game. And whoever gets the hard hat, the coaches, they have a system of metrics, of course. You got your pluses and minuses, and that's completely statistical. But then there's some subjective things, the things that intimidate, things that are awarded by the coaches to give and to take. And I love the fact that they have something that these kids are working for. She misses the free throw, but on and off the court, this kid just has worked so hard and deserves everything that she gets.
Sophomore from Buffalo, New York, transferred from Temple. Her first year in the Syracuse program and named a team captain, which should show you what kind of leadership Kyra Wood has brought to the Orange locker room. She extends the Syracuse lead to 2.
So, Andy, here's where the defense is extended, and Tech has just got to move the ball faster than the zone can recover. Even though it's a full court zone, it's still zone principles. Short, sharp passes. Lean into the pressure. Do not go away from it.
Syracuse mixes its defense a lot, which is something Nell Fordner schooled their team extensively on in their shoot-around. Hermosa doesn't get the kind bounce, but unable to be saved by the Orange. Hermosa, a couple of misses from short range, but Hermosa's career high was set last year against Syracuse with 21.
Andy, I'm telling you, it has hit every part of the inside of the rim on multiple occasions for this kid. It's going to fall.
Swartz, step back, rebound Hermosa. Fresh possession for the Jackets.
So now you make this very intensive defensive system have to reset and play another 20.
Entry pass was tipped away. Wood fronting Hermosa. Jackets have 7 to shoot.
You love these special situations. There's offensive coach, you got a defensive coach, and you got a special situations coach, and that's...
Swartz lost the handle trying to create. Pried out by the Orange, but poked away from behind by Jackson. Georgia Tech has the turnover right back. Swartz off his skip, sidesteps Woolley, rolls it up and in. Cam Swartz coming off a season low in points against Duke, has 7 in the first quarter. She ties it at 13, and Wood shaken up behind the play.
And let's give a little bit of credit to Aviance Carter slowing down, not just taking it to the rack. Watch the reversal on this. This is the kind of thing we're talking about, differences that are difference makers. Swartz got the scoop and score right before that. Aviance Carter, the tip goes by Jackson to Carter. Carter takes it. She has a chance to take it to the rack. She backs it out, draws the defense out one step so that Swartz can take it to the rack.
Sometimes you get that offensive rebound. Your instinct tells you put it back up. Shot clock is off. Turned into a 7-1 Georgia Tech run. Woolley, pick and roll. Strong, topples over Carter. Offensive foul.
Measurements yesterday in practice. Who will take how many charges? Coach Tasha Butt says, who's going to be the one to take a charge for me? AC in the house. I got you, Coach.
And that's a second foul on Asia Strong. Tasha Butts fired up like she was the one who took it.
I mean, she called it.
Final second of the quarter, Hermosa pinned with 2. Dangerous pass stolen. McEvans has a chance to get it off. But off the mark. And the first quarter comes to an end. Georgia Tech weathered a bit of a dry spell in that opening quarter, but a burst off the bench from the grad transfer Cam Swartz brings us to the end of one in Atlanta. All tied, 13-all between Syracuse and Tech. Offense.
Well, they're going to make sure that they shut down the paint because Georgia Tech has gotten all the looks they want in the paint. They haven't fallen, and they've done a great job on the defensive boards. But she's going to make sure that they get high hands, low hips, and make sure that ball doesn't get inside the paint as much as it has.
Dyaisha Fair had 4 points in the first quarter, defended by Jackson. Woolley slices in, and the scoop is good by Georgia Woolley. The sophomore from Brisbane, Australia, joined Coach Jack from UB.
I like the matchup. I like the fact now you see it appears as if they're in a zone. This is a matchup zone. This is going to be man in some areas. This is going to be guard the area in others. But Georgia Tech has to play like it's man.
Great dime by Swartz, but the travel by Hermosa. Talk about threading the needle.
And the ball touching every part of the rim and not going in. And you just have to, it's like when shooters are off. You just keep shooting. When your post players are out of rhythm or out of sync, you just have to keep putting it up. The ball's going to fall.
That was a quality look. In spite of that turnover, here is Fair. Carter trips, trying to defend. Left short. Yanked in by Hermosa.
Got a break.
Ooh, but she overthrows the outlet, and the ball right back to the Orange.
Well, Hermosa's just having a little bit of a moment. You know, you just get into these little pockets of time where just things don't go your way, and you have to get tougher. GT, get tougher and just dig a little deeper. It's there. It's going to come. She just can't give up on herself or the process.
That pressure could cause some hesitation in a team like Syracuse, ready to pounce. Fair in the stare down with Swartz. The blow by and the bucket.
It's almost like the harder you play her and the more intense your defense is, the better she gets, the higher she jumps, and the tougher her shots are.
Dyaisha Fair nearing 2,400 career points. She's second among active players in Division I in career points. Carter with the pull-up, and she's fouled. Avian's Carter to shoot a pair, and she attacked the closeout.
So I like the energy and enthusiasm on both ends. Syracuse knowing that they can string together a nice run here. They've done some nice things. They've beaten some teams that people didn't expect them to beat. Georgia Tech looking for their first win, and it's because of players like this. Avian's Carter just coming in, doing work, knowing that her time will come. You don't get a chance to say, when am I going in? That's the coach's prerogative.
She stayed ready today. We saw her take that charge at the end of the first quarter. Carter had a DMP versus Duke. She's in the scoring column, and it's a 2-point game.
It's just next man up at this level. The defensive schemes that Coach Nell Fortner's running, every little inch matters. How you tag, how you recover, helping the helper.
How about that split of the double? And the lay-in by Dariauna Lewis. Dariauna Lewis had 8 rebounds in the first quarter tag. That's her first field goal.
I'm telling you what, there's nothing I don't think defensively you can do to stop that.
Carter with a pocket pass. Blackshear up and good. Kayla Blackshear had missed her first 4. Georgia Tech's leading scorer in conference play. Once again, cuts the deficit to 2, make it 5 in a blink. And Dyaisha Fair, guess who?
Guess who? Guess what? I hadn't even looked up from my paper yet, partner. And you're already calling the difference in the score. That's how fast she moves.
Up to 9. And Jackson travels, trying to juke around Fair.
Yeah, you got to press the easy button. You know, on that Staples commercial or Office, it's hard to find, Office Max and Staples, they're all, switching back and forth. But you just got to press the easy button. Do the next easy thing, especially against a team that is so aggressive defensively.
Nell Fortner talked with us about that as shoot-around. Trying to simplify things for her team. Less thinking, more playing.
Yeah. Sounds like the Home Depot. Less thinking, more playing.
There with the pump fake. And she has Morgan on skates. She throws it away.
Yeah, that's right.
And last off of Syracuse, Coach Jack thought it caught a yellow jacket.
She did, and Swartz is not hesitating to help her out there and let her know, I didn't touch it. No fingerprints on that one.
It is a 7th turnover forced by the Jackets. And even though Georgia Tech is 0-7 coming in, we caught up with Coach Jack at the end of her shoot-around today. So much respect for this Georgia Tech defensive system. She knows her team will have to earn its offense tonight.
Yeah, a Pro-Am gold medal winning coach herself. AC in the house if you don't know yet.
Off the kick out by Blackshear. Just a 5th 3 of the season for Avian's Carter. 5 in the quarter.
Andy, we said Georgia Tech needed one player. We didn't say who it had to be. We just said one more player to step up. Well, it's number 15 so far tonight.
Hyman fights her way in. Back out to Fair. She wants to clear out on Morgan. Shot clock at 4. Shoves to Woolley. A deep 3 is an air ball. And Georgia Tech threw away the key defensively on that possession. And they force another Syracuse turnover.
So you see just in the body language, there's just a little bit of miscommunication going on with the orange right now. A little bit of I got it, you take it. And that's what Georgia Tech has to take advantage of. Nobody's going to do them any favors. Everybody in the conference knows Georgia Tech has been so close so many times. Nobody wants to play either one of these teams, I'm telling you right now.
Well, the Jackets shot 50% in the first half versus Duke on Sunday at McCamish. They led the Blue Devils by 1. Couldn't duplicate that effort in the second half.
I like the poise by Kara Dunn. You don't have to force it. Give and take, push and pull. This is very aggressive defense, so try to take advantage of that in any way you can.
Without an eyes, the up fake. Smothered and has it stripped. Lewis ripped it away. Now she's 3rd in the ACC in blocks, but Dariauna Lewis can also get her own. Hyman coast to coast for the 2.
And this is what you don't want to happen. You don't want Hyman to wake up. She's been just a little bit quiet tonight, but she's waking up on the defensive end. Deflections, 3 deflections equals 1 steal, and we got oh no.
Yeah, it's Fair. Cupping her hands over her face behind the play as whistle brings play to a stop. Syracuse on top by 4. Didn't quite see what caused Fair to go down. We'll see if our replay can catch it. Ooh, just right into the shoulder.
Yeah, it's just incidental.
Blackshear.
Yeah, it's just incidental contact. You hate to see that, but that's just part of the game. They're going to make sure, they're going to watch the film. They're going to make sure there wasn't anything egregious, but it was just incidental contact, part of playing the game.
Yeah, she was trying to take that first step in transition, didn't realize the Blackshear was right behind her.
Yeah, neither one of them saw each other.
And with that, we will hit a timeout. 5:18 remaining in our second quarter. Orange on top by 4. Karen McKinney tending to the senior Dyaisha Fair. Always worry about anything above the shoulders. We'll see it again.
Yeah, neither one of them saw each other. And as soon as Dee Cantner saw it, she said, incidental, 100% incidental. It's just part of the game.
We get back to live action. Turnover. Leads to a fast break for the Yellow Jackets. Morgan with Dunn. Oh, up and under. Tonie Morgan. That is not a freshman move. The Tallahassee, Florida native.
Wow. I spoke with her AAU coach, James Henry, and he said she's not doing half of what I need her to do. She said, just tell her mechanic said, step it up. And let me tell you who's stepping it up. Tonie has done it again.
With a Euro to set it up. Third of the Jackets in scoring. Scored in 10 against Duke on Sunday. Syracuse for the moment playing without the ACC's third leading scorer in Dyaisha Fair.
I'm sure Coach Henry will approve that move, and every coach that's watching players, the parents, the teammates, people that are watching their friends, their family, and they're cheering along, and everybody in the country is cheering for Dyaisha right now.
Rice, meanwhile, off the mark, and Dunn travels with it.
I don't know what this is. I got my Happy Heart shirt on, but this Happy Feet is just a little bit of I haven't seen it called like this many times in a row, and Kara Dunn is, just brilliant with her first step. The freshman is just making a huge splash right now, and that's a person that can make a difference too. KB, KD.
Pass caught beneath the basket and finished. Dariauna Lewis. Some strong hands by the grad transfer from Alabama A&M. Trying to shake off a season-low 2 points in that loss to Notre Dame, but had double-doubles each of her previous 2 contests. 4 points, 8 rebounds. Perhaps well on her way to an 8th double-double of the season. The kick out, Dunn had a clean look. And a tie-up on the rebound. It'll stay Georgia Tech ball.
So Dunn, what I like about that is she's got the good look. Swartz, you see coming in for the freshman. Great mentor for these younger players. And I saw Kara's mom, Coach Stephanie Dunn, and she just said, hey, she loves it at Tech. Let me tell you, who loves watching her is anybody in the building when a freshman comes in and can instantly make an impact.
And the starting lineup now for his 6th consecutive game, Kara Dunn. Wood posting on Won Adanaz.
Great defense by Adanaz. Won Adanaz is a presence in the paint.
Oh, too much quickness, though, by Hyman, and one. Right to the rack on Carter. And a chance to extend a 6-point Syracuse lead.
And there's the old-fashioned three-pointer. So the interior passing, but the penetration. Oh, my word. Is she silky smooth or what?
Now, Teisha Hyman was a known commodity, even though there were very few of those on this roster to begin the season. Hyman, honorable mention All-ACC a year ago. And she was 5th in the league in scoring last year, Tag, 16 a contest. Wondered how she may adapt with the addition of Dyaisha Fair, who was a volume scorer for Coach Jack at Buffalo. But those two have formed quite a tandem in the orange backcourt.
Let me tell you how she adapted like butter. Somebody said, hey, Coach Jack, are you building trust with this team? She said, I don't have to build trust. I just have to be trustworthy. And she admitted that she and Hyman are on a journey and that they are growing in that trust and confidence. And I love the fact that a head coach has the chutzpah and the courage. You know, Coach Fortner's the same way. I saw her sitting with Swartz after practice, and they're having a conversation one-on-one. And these are two of the elite coaches in the game right here. And they know how to coach a heart, not just coach hands and feet.
One on an Oz, catch and shoot. Short, rebound in the run out, Woolley. Hyman had 27 earlier this year versus Louisville. Trying to extend a 6-point Syracuse lead. Largest lead either team has held. Jumper doesn't fall. Rebound underneath. They'll tag one Adanaz for the loose ball foul.
Well, I like the effort. I like the enthusiasm. It's just a half second slower than you want it to be. It's the right idea.
One Adanaz's first. Tech's third of the quarter as she subs out and Hermosa comes in. One of three Spaniards in this Georgia Tech rotation for Nell Fortner.
Andy, we expected to see a low-scoring game. This is exactly what we thought would happen. The interior passing and penetration that Syracuse has been able to have is a little bit of surprise for me. But this is only a two-possession game. It feels like a bigger gap, but it's just not.
Morgan, nice jumper in rhythm. Tonie Morgan's got 6. Morgan's ACC high was a dozen versus Virginia. Pulls the Jackets within 4. Great lob, Woolley to Wood, but she can't finish, and Hermosa sweeps away the rebound.
Well, they got it 3 other times in a row, so they might not want to let them try that again.
Carter trying to attack the head. She dribbles with it instead.
I think Aviance is looking like, I think she got a tip on that. She's looking, hey, she says, I think she hit it, a little double touch. Nell Fortner's, I don't think she's asking her what her dinner plans are.
I think Nell's reaction a little more muted than Aviance Carter's.
Yeah. It's a fair question. I mean, if you're a Georgia Tech fan, if you're a Syracuse fan, you got no question about that at all.
We've not seen Dyaisha Fair return until now. You see her ranging on the wings. It's good to see her back. Woolley on the cut. No good. Might have taken a nudge from Morgan. The Jackets come away with it. Morgan dumps to Jackson, but it bounces on the end line.
So, Andy, these are the unforced errors that we're talking about. It's okay if the defense forces you, you make a mistake, you make it up. You mess it up, you make it up. That's the thing that you know. But to just give them the ball, you cannot give a team with the offensive firepower. Yeah, they're defensive prowess, but they've got offensive firepower in every position.
You can't afford empty possessions. Tough shot, no good from Lewis, and there's a foul on the orange. Go on, Sanaya Wilson. That's her second, team's third. The legend, Alicia Leggett-Jack, got at Buffalo to 4 NCAA tournaments in a decade at UB before returning to her alma mater. One of several new faces around the league.
Well, she's here to stay for a long time. She says if you can't win the game, win the lesson. But her highest emphasis of her pillars, character, academics, basketball, third, if you can believe it.
She's got a lot of proof of those principles from her time at Buffalo. Hermosa, nice touch. Nell Fortner said she needs Nerea Hermosa to be an offensive presence tonight. She's on the board, down to a 2-point margin again.
And it's just a quiet presence that she brings. She doesn't bring a lot of vocal leadership, but she has such a presence block to block.
Fair with the pull-up to Pure. Dyaisha Fair up in double digits with 11.
Just so quiet, so confident, and this is the answer that Tech needs.
You can't leave Swartz alone. It has been a mighty struggle for Cam Swartz in ACC play, but remember, folks, she led the conference in scoring in league games a season ago at Boston College as the Orange throw it away.
So here's where you just can't blink. This is the blink game. Both these teams are fighting for respect, for a place, for a position. And you just watch how calm, how cool, how collected, and how much of the bottom of the net Cam Swartz buys.
Gives Swartz double figures as well with 10. Shot clock is off. Chance for Georgia Tech to head into halftime with the lead. Last lead was 4-2. Closing seconds, Morgan splits the screen. Kicks to Jackson for 3. He was set up well. Blackshear fighting for the offensive rebound, and she was fouled. I believe that was in the act. Kayla Blackshear, who's been a menace on the glass for the Yellow Jackets of late, will have 2 free throws with 2.5 seconds left.
Well, I saw KB win her little free throw contest yesterday in practice. These will be the biggest ones she's shot in the last 24.
Kayla Blackshear, 3rd in the ACC in offensive rebounds per game. She averages nearly 3.5, and she ties this at 30. Sophomore from Orlando, Florida, began her career at Alabama. And the Jackets in front. Syracuse tried to turn the floor quick. Hyman from beyond midcourt. And Georgia Tech with a nice response after they trailed by 6. It was 28-22. And the Jackets close on the 9-2 run. And the Orange head to halftime on top by 1. Balanced scoring for the Jackets with some flash from the freshman Tonie Morgan. Hyman and Fair leading the way.
Switch to Verizon, the most reliable 5G network in America, and get the unlimited plan that your business deserves on the network America relies on.
Andy Demetra, Tag Gurnap, as we welcome you back to McCamish Pavilion. Start of the 3rd quarter. Syracuse possession, and the Orange down by 1 to Tech. Trying to shrug off its worst ACC start since 1985 as they hedge out high on Fair, and Hermosa gets whistled for the foul. Same scenario tag as what Georgia Tech had on Sunday. They welcomed in Duke. They were up by 1 at halftime. You have to feed that belief that this will be the night you can notch that first ACC win. So I think you and I both agree the first few minutes of this 3rd quarter may be very telling for Georgia Tech.
Differences that are difference makers, Andy. Taking Dyaisha, this kid, taking Fair as far away from the goal as possible is what I'm saying. Getting a foul, it doesn't matter as long as she's not getting to the rack. She is a phenom. And when you're up against a team that just has one player that is so phenomenal, you have to find ways to shut that player down and make everybody else beat you. And that's what Georgia Tech is looking to do. Their body language is positive. They came out making great eye contact, having a good huddle. 3rd quarter, though, has been hard for them this year.
Yeah. Whereas for Syracuse, the 4th quarter has been their Achilles heel. For Nell Fortner's club, it's been the 3rd. They have beaten Syracuse 4 straight times. Inbound batted by Fair. Leaking out. She tracks it down. She lays it in.
She is lightning speed. She just accelerates at an unbelievable pace down the floor, even after getting her clock clean.
2nd in the ACC in steals, 3rd in the ACC in scoring, and you saw a flash of bold from Dyaisha Fair. A lot of skepticism and conversation about whether her prolific scoring from her 3 seasons at Buffalo would carry over to this level of competition. She has answered it resoundingly as the rebound is squeezed by Lewis.
No question, partner.
Lewis now sets the screen for Fair. Threads the needle to Wood, but a foul before the pass. That might have prevented an easy cash in by Wood, but terrific vision, though, on that big-to-big pass by Lewis.
So I was going to say, good news, bad news, okay? The good news is they didn't score on the interior pass. The bad news is they still have the ball.
Yeah. Alice Swartz is first.
So here's where Georgia Tech has got to, when they run these patterns, okay, here's a 1-4 low. This is just forget this pattern. We'll talk about the next play.
As Fair gets to her spot, rims out, ricochets loose. Fair resets. Jackson flashes at her. The 3 by Fair gets wedged.
I love these kids. I love this kid, man. She just scratches her head. She just laughs at herself. She said her favorite character is Stitch. You know, she has a great sense of humor. She doesn't take herself too seriously. She's humble on and off the court. You can't coach humble. Kids come that way or they don't.
I saw her try to stifle a smile there talking with Coach Jack. Georgia Tech has the possession on the alternating arrow. All in one motion, Morgan draws the foul.
Answer. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters because when you're coaching, you want, if the team that's wearing your color, you want the ball to go in. But it doesn't matter. What matters is she took it to the rack with authority. The clock is stopped, which is good for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech wants to slow the game down, keep the pace at this tempo that favors them.
Good attack with force by the freshman Tonie Morgan, who is ranked as high as the number 24 prospect nationally by ESPN Hoop Girls. And Georgia Tech would be wise to get to the free throw line. That makes them 8 of 9 tonight and shooting 77% from the free throw line this year, which is 21st nationally. And I might have jinxed it, as we're tied at 32.
You can't jinx it. It's a great percentage whether they miss one or two tonight or not. See the push, the pull. They're going to run 1-2 patterns, and then they're going to play basketball, and they're going to let their players go to work.
Fair indeed. Off the window, no. But Fair has the ball land obligingly in her hands.
You cannot give her second shots. I mean, you give her one look at the rim. If you're lucky, she misses, and then you go the other way.
Hyman from the elbow, no. Offensive rebound, and the stick back, no. Oh, that one jumped out. Would have been an impressive putback by Lewis. We'll shoot two instead.
Lewis has a great disposition. She's relentless on the boards. You saw the entire Syracuse bench jumped up, was leaning so far onto the court, willing this in for their teammate. The decanter had to say, step back, step back.
That's a 12th rebound for Lewis, and perhaps as significantly, she straps the third foul on Nerea Hermosa. She comes out, Monadanas takes her spot. Lewis, a 69% free throw shooter, gives her 5.
So here's where Georgia Tech has got to make up in size. What they don't have in size, they've got to have in skill. They've got to find a way to make that mobile post work. And it's against Syracuse, they have a little more of a chance to do that.
It was tough to keep off the glass. Tag, third in the ACC in rebounds. Her first season in Syracuse after an HBCU All-American career at Alabama A&M. Jackson from the paint, good.
Yeah.
Now, Bianca Jackson has that ability to pull up and stroke jumpers, which has been in very short supply for the Jackets this year. Levels us at 34. And her career high, like Hermosa's, was against Syracuse when she was at Florida State. Open look in the corner, and the three good by Rice. They will score the basket, whistle off the ball against the Orange, but Rice with her 13th three of the year and rack up a 5th straight game with a made three for the senior, Elena Rice.
Rice is silky smooth from downtown, and shoot around today, she just could not miss, and you see a little bit of that coming out tonight. But you just don't want these players to wake up. They're used to this 1-2 tandem, and when you start going 3, 4, 5 for them, difference maker.
As you saw, that was Syracuse's first bench points of the night. Rice with a good contest of the Morgan drive. Hyman, stop and pop. And another offensive rebound, Orange, but Rice ran over Morgan, and the foul goes on Rice.
That's a great job hunting the ball by Tonie Morgan. She is just relentless on the boards, a rebounding guard, and we're seeing it on both sides of the ball here. These are two of the best guard-heavy rebounding teams in the league.
If you're a team that plays at a fast tempo like Syracuse, you can understand why the guards have to be involved, especially in defensive rebounding, because you don't waste time on the outlet pass.
Absolutely.
You can get it and go. Swartz, a hot first half. Can she continue in the second? No. Tapped out long. Morgan tracks it down.
Okay, there it is. Just a tap on the offense. You don't have to get the rebound, but just tap it back out. Get another shot on ball.
Morgan off the mark on another three. 3-point Syracuse lead. Swartz clinging to Fair. Collision, no whistle. Now a shovel down to a cutting Lewis, and she's fouled.
The interior passing of the Orange today has been unbelievable. If Tech can just get a hand up in that lane, watch the lightning. What? I mean, going right, passing left, Dr. Dish in the house.
Wow.
She slices, she dices, she dishes.
The first free throw good by Lewis. Yeah, Fair. Did we also mention she leads Syracuse in assists? When we talked with Coach Jack about how she's elevated her game in her first season at Syracuse, it really had nothing to do with her on-court performance. She said she's grown into a locker room leader. She's found her voice to be that locker room presence for the Orange, whereas that was maybe not a full part of her responsibilities at Buffalo. Rice on the drive, gets through but can't finish. Swartz had to travel. Did she get a running start? She did.
Just a little bit of happy feet here when Coach Jack was right in front of us with Fair, and I'm about ready to hand her my headset. You know, there's nothing on the court she can't do.
This lead is yo-yoed throughout the game in favor of the Orange. They've led by as many as 6. Approaching the midway mark of quarter number 3.
So this is where Tech's trying to get through the third quarter. Make the easy pass. Hit them in the numbers. You cannot give them a scoop and score from your end of the floor. That assist should go to Georgia Tech.
And Hyman will gladly cash it in. And now Syracuse has matched its largest margin. It was a 1-point Tech lead at halftime. Jackets have been outscored 10-3 in the third. Jackson leaves it for Blackshear. Blackshear with the left hand.
Love it. Just a little floater in the lane. Looks like a little Bob Cousy there.
Well, Blackshear had been shooting 78% her previous 3 games. That makes the sophomore 2 of 7.
It's 2-possession basketball. I'm just saying what it feels like sitting sideline. It feels like the lead by Syracuse is a lot wider than it is. It just feels that way being here. I don't know what it feels like watching it on the flat screen, but I'm telling you, this is Coach Jack knows she wants to extend this lead. Georgia Tech knows they've got to get through this third quarter and make it their best third quarter yet.
Blackshear follows her own miss, but can't get the stick in. And I think you're right because, look, Syracuse is a very skilled offensive team. And you just feel over the course of 40 minutes, be more efficient in creating buckets than Georgia Tech. Strong, doubled, feeds Hyman, gets ahead of steam, no good. Rebound, ricochets loose to Rice, and she's fouled. Syracuse winning the 50-50 balls, and they'll have a chance to extend this lead when we come back. 3:56 remaining. Third quarter from Atlanta. Warriors trying to top their conference win total from last season tonight. Getting some bench production here in the third. And they lead Orange by 4. Oh, don't leave a fellow manager hanging.
Elijah Masaki's like, come on, man. Come on, man. And there's Hayden going, what are you doing? Give him some dap. They offered me water and shoot around today. That's a high-quality managerial staff right there.
My man was locked in on the action, and we trust you are as well. 3:56 in the third. Syracuse trying to move to 5-3 in the ACC and stamp a 4-game losing streak to the Yellow Jackets that dates back to 2018. Elena Rice, 2 free throws out of the timeout. Began her career at FAMU and on to Auburn.
It doesn't feel like a 4-point game. It feels like Syracuse is up by 14. The fact is, it's a 2-possession game right now. It's anybody's game. It's a low-scoring game, which both coaches are comfortable with and familiar and want to happen. But it's the little things, differences that are difference makers.
A little thing like boxing out the free throw shooter as Carter pulls it away from Rice. Was a near 80% free throw shooter this year. Stays a 4-point margin.
So just push the easy button. They are a great defensive team.
And Swartz gets her first bucket of the second half.
There's no defense for that. You can't stop a little baby hook like that from Swartz.
ACC's most improved player from a year ago at Boston College. She's got a dozen.
I love how she leans in. I love how relentless both teams are defensively and offensively.
Right in the passing lane with Swartz. Forces Syracuse's 11th turnover.
So Georgia Tech doing a great job of managing tempo.
Crossover and the layup by Morgan. She's really shown her bag tonight.
Did you see how the hesitation go by? She just didn't take it down the gut. She stepped back a little bit. You see Syracuse trying to counter with the high ball traps that Georgia Tech's giving. It's forcing them out of their comfort zone.
Another hedge chases Fair off the line. No looks at the strong. With the shot clock at 6. Flat on the turnaround, but reaches up and grabs her own miss. Adonai just lost track of where that ball was.
You just can't. The coaches are all leaning in, willing it. Just like you work so hard to take the clock down that long in Syracuse, you got to hunt the ball.
The spin, Fair, no good. And last off at Carter, it stays with Syracuse, just 4 to shoot.
Look, you got to break. She doesn't miss that very often, so you have to take advantage of this. Every player knows in the ACC it's next man up. Aviance Carter is evidence of that. Did not play and making a difference in this game tonight. You don't know when your turn will come. You have to be ready when it does.
Lewis had it right in front of the rim, but can't finish.
Morgan just doing a great job of slow and go. Short, sharp passes against the Orange is what you've got to have. But she's controlling the tempo right now offensively.
Given a lot of responsibility, she splits the screen and finger rolls it. And Georgia Tech leads by 2. Tonie Morgan, just a freshman, not playing like it. Gives her 11.
You see Georgia Tech forcing Q's out high above the free throw. Got to control the controllables. I mean, once they get down in that low box, just close out, box out.
Slipping the screen. Euroing around Lewis. That was pretty start to finish by Morgan. It's an 8-0 Georgia Tech run. And Hyman will try to snap at the free throw line following Swartz's second foul. Teisha Hyman, 8 points, second most on the Orange tonight. And another one off the mark at the line.
Hyman is just, she mentioned in the ACC Media Day how the flamingo was important to her. It's an animal she identifies with. I was down. She's just calm, cool, collected, and it looks like effortless what she's doing, but she has just been such a pleasure to watch this year.
So you're saying that the flamingo is Teisha Hyman's spirit animal. You learned that at ACC Media Day?
I'm saying she's telling us that. There's no doubt.
Morgan trying to create again. This time wrestled away by Lewis. Board number 13 for Dariauna Lewis. Hyman in transition, up and under, no good. Run out to Jackson. She's got Morgan leaking out. Fair in pursuit, layup good.
So this is the pace that Georgia Tech wants. They slow, they go a little bit frenetic, but it's just who's in command and control of the momentum right now.
It is a tennis match breaking out at McCamish. Foul on Blackshear. 1:05 to go in the third. Tech reverse a 6-point deficit midway through this quarter, lead by 3. It actually is Georgia Tech's largest lead of the game.
And let me tell you who hasn't played her best basketball yet, checking in the game right now, Kara Dunn, difference maker. She is a freshman that can come in and play at a high level immediately. Straight off a state championship out of Mount Perrin. Mom was a baller at the University of Georgia. I told you, I coached her mom in AAU. I was only a few years older than her. I'd pick her up, we'd go to practice, and she spent a lot of time on the Tech campus, and then she went to Georgia. Just crushed my heart.
Figure.
Yeah, go figure. But Kara's here, so we forgive her.
Rice makes up for the 0 for 2 free throw trip, pulls the Orange within 1. Final minute of the third quarter.
So every player, short, sharp passes on offense.
Rebound, Blackshear, and the stick follow. Kayla Blackshear, one of the best on the offensive boards in the ACC. Reaching up over the rest of the Orange. They're striding through, floats it in. Too tough.
Come on, man, too tough.
And now a foul called in the backcourt on Rice, and that's the 5th foul of the quarter against Syracuse.
Wow.
So perhaps a needless foul by Rice, and Georgia Tech will shoot free throws.
So here's the controlling the controllables. You cannot control that happened. What you have to do is make good on it right now. Coach Jack talking with Fair, letting her know, hey, this is where we want the game to go. They have such a great just push and pull back and forth between each other. High level of trust. Compete hard today. Well, guess who does that every day?
And when you score almost 2,400 career points, you probably earned a lot of trust from your head coach. Jackson's been quiet tonight. Splashes the second one down. 10th of the second differential, shot clock to game clock.
So here you're going to see this come down to possession basketball in this quarter. Georgia Tech wants to get out of it, and Syracuse can't wait to get in it the next quarter.
Hyman stop and go. She was jammed up by Jackson. Jump ball to call. Syracuse keeps it.
Special situations. You know, I had heard that it's 12% of the game, so one year I just took film and decided to study the analytics.
Okay.
Well, now everybody just does that for you, all the analytics. You know, you don't have to do that anymore. It's 12% of the game.
You're one of the pioneers of analytics is what I'm gathering.
You know, maybe those 2 tech degrees are good for something I got.
Away to Fair. Works on Dunn. Hezzy into the lane. Reach and foul Dunn. And now that puts Syracuse at the free throw line.
I'm fine with it. I mean, make her earn it. You know, Dunn coming in there, having the responsibility to guard the go-to player for Syracuse. I mean, not just the go-to player for Syracuse, but maybe in the country, left coast to right coast. She's competing on the WNBA watch list everywhere.
She was a finalist for the Nancy Lieberman Award for the nation's best point guard earlier in her career.
Yeah.
Averaging better than 20 in conference play. That gives Fair 16. There's still a quarter and 2+ seconds left. 1-point game.
Tech's got a shot on the rim if they want it.
Jackson off the sideline, chucks it up. And we head to the fourth the same way we began the third, with Syracuse trailing the Jackets by 1, 48-47. Jackets 10 minutes away, searching for a first ACC win. We're back after this.
Eat like a king who's on the budget.
Tonie, she does it again. I think she maybe got some encouragement from her mechanic, Coach James Henry, telling me she's only, he said, Tag, she's not even fully turned on. I said, wait a minute. I'm telling you, this kid is bringing it, balling, and she has just taken her game to the next level tonight.
The ball is in her hands as he crosses by Rice down the baseline, draws the foul. So Syracuse down by 1, Tag, and this is somewhat quirky because the Orange have led by 6 points in each of the first 3 quarters. But a big reason why they're trailing by 1 is Georgia Tech has finished those quarters strong. I mean, look at their runs at the end of the first, end of the second, and 14-7 to end the third.
Well, we talked about what Coach Fortner's, the simplifying the game, trying to get it down to, it only takes 1 point. But one run can make a difference. And the run being significant at the end of the quarter, it is such a backbreaker when you're going into that huddle with your head down instead of up. And that's been a difference maker tonight, partner.
That was also the 4th foul on Elena Rice, who contributed 5 third-quarter points for the Orange. She comes out. Cheyenne McEvans, the junior, in for the first time this half. Meanwhile, Syracuse fans know fourth quarters have been very erratic for them this year. They faded in the final 10 minutes versus Notre Dame on Sunday. They'll have to have a strong finish to come away with the road win tonight. There with the team-high 17. Down the lane on Morgan. On the rim, no good. And the pinball's loose to Morgan.
Wow, Morgan coming up with a big defensive stop right there. Just a little, you can just see the body language. Who can step up for Georgia Tech? And it's KB.
Pure touch by Kayla Blackshear.
We talked about KB being a difference maker defensively. If she can step up offensively, this is the way that Georgia Tech can widen that margin.
Now some snappy ball rotation around the zone by the Jackets. They've opened up their largest lead. Hyman draws the screen from Strong. Crow hopping, firing, short. Carter with the box out. It's loose on the deck. Jump ball to call. And we'll stay with Syracuse.
So the second shots, the effort, the multiple defensive effort, making sure that you get the ball if you can't grab it, you tap it. You try to get a touch on it. And AC has been a difference maker tonight.
Somebody who's that consummate dirty work player that every team has that's not always reflected in the box score.
Yeah, she's up for my lunch pail player of the game.
I like that.
Oh, yeah, she's high on the list tonight.
Coveted honor.
Yes. Look at that. High ball trap. Push the ball out. Keep it away from the gaps. Taking time off the clock.
Bayer draws 2. Takes a return feed. Launches with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Grazes the rim.
Wow. And Georgia Tech getting the rebound, not letting them get a second shot off of this. And now watch the controlled tempo. Doing a great job of changing speed, changing direction.
Morgan no good. And Tonie Morgan not much of a three-point threat, so you figure Syracuse can clog the lane on her. 2 minutes into the final quarter.
She's so hot right now, though. I mean, you want her to take that shot. She's earned it.
Evans slashing on Swartz. No. Draws her own miss and gets the foul on Swartz.
Second shots. Oh, boy, just getting a hand on it. I like the conversation. The more you talk about, I don't care what you're talking about. You talk about what movie you saw last weekend, where you're going to eat after the game. But if you're talking, that means that we're getting better. Any coach wants their team to talk in every huddle.
Orange, 4 of 22 from the field in the second half. Make it 4 of 23. That one point blank by Lewis with another offensive rebound like you talked about.
This is where Georgia Tech has got to batten down the hatches, where Syracuse has got to get sharper on offense, and that's one way to do it right there, lay it up.
Teisha Hyman into double figures with 11.
Just a quiet storm. I mean, just quietly goes in there and can take over a game. And when you have not one, but 2 players who potentially can do that, it's a beautiful thing on offense.
Hyman led the Orange with 18 against Georgia Tech last year. The dump down to Blackshear. Cutting, kicking. Jackson, hand in her face, off the mark. Rebound over the top by Morgan, but she pushed off. And the foul called on the freshman.
I like the effort, though. Not backing down from the contact, and it's just a shoulder shrug. Watch this rebound. I don't know if she did or not. I don't know if she didn't just get right up over her.
But you know what? Credit Cheyenne Evans for boxing out and forcing that whistle to be made.
Agreed. So you see staggers here. They're going to run 1, maybe 2 offensive pattern sets, and then they're going to let their players go to work, and Georgia Tech has just got to batten down the hatches. Stop the interior passes.
Underneath to Lewis, and we're tied. And timeout, Felicia Leggett-Jack. Hyman breaking down the defense and finding Dariauna Lewis. 9 points, 14 rebounds for Lewis, and we have our 9th tie of the game.
Back.
6:40 remaining. Georgia Tech, Syracuse tied at 51. Nell Fortner's team has this game in the scoring range they prefer. They don't like those AARP games tag over 60.
Andy, the first thing Coach Jack said to me today was, "Hey, tag 59." 59. She says she knows the number. It was already in her head what that point level was, and we know this for a fact because Mark Twain said it. Numbers never lie. Statistics do, but numbers never lie.
See which team may flinch first in this final quarter. The deflection by McEvans. Georgia Tech to retain. Georgia Tech has subdued a Syracuse team that's 3rd best in the ACC in scoring. Can they subdue the likes of Dyaisha Fair and Teisha Hyman for another 6.5 minutes?
Well, Coach Fortner, she's not looking at light bulbs on a scoreboard. She's looking at the effort between the shoulders. She's looking at what happens heart to heart and the body language that Georgia, we've talked about it all night. You see Dyaisha Fair trying to gather her team, trying to get them all together. The body language favors Georgia Tech right now because of plays just like this.
And Tech, that is the 2nd time tonight that Asia Strong has fouled Cam Swartz on a 3-pointer. And so Swartz, who's Georgia Tech's best free throw shooter by average, with 3 attempts to break this tie.
The credit to Swartz, we talk about how she just stays and leans into the pressure. Most people go away from pressure. She leans in, like the Stormy Petrel, flies into the storm. We talked about that earlier.
And again, Georgia Tech, not a team you want to send to the line 21st in the nation, 77.7% as a team. Swartz up to 14, tied with Morgan for most.
So the pace right now favors the Yellow Jackets. They're doing a great job of pushing and pulling on tempo, speeding it up when they need to and slowing it down. Differences that are difference makers. If Syracuse can withstand the run.
I thought that ball was kicked, scrambled for it in backcourt. Syracuse pulls it away. Fair with the no-look on the baseline, and the jumper's good. Lewis, an 8th double-double of the season for Dariauna Lewis.
Money ball. She does not miss the short corner, the elbow, and shoot around. I don't think she missed once today.
That is now 3 double-doubles in her last 4 outings. Underneath, Blackshear had a clean look. Can Syracuse regain the lead? Fair with a step through. Finds McEvans.
Wide open, and you just can't get those back. But what you can do is make it up on defense. Find a way to get a touch on the ball.
And Fair travels with it. Saw the help side closing in.
See the body language right here. Dyaisha Fair, she's just got to keep her chin up. You know the numbers. We're sitting here talking about everything that she is, and that's what she has to do. She has to have the look regardless of how she feels.
Try to shake that off. Jackson nearly lost the handle. Swartz penetrates. Blackshear tries to keep it free, but on the run to Fair. Jackets tried to stay in front of Fair. She's walled off by Jackson.
See Fair leaning into the pressure right now.
Now the Jackets have a chance to turn the floor. Morgan to Swartz for 2.
Making it look easy right there, and it is never easy in transition with Syracuse.
You hear coaches say it so often, a bad shot is often the first pass in an opponent's fast break. Hyman around the rim, no. Another run out for the Jackets. Morgan shepherded along the sideline. Foul called on Hyman as it takes us to time. Foul to Syracuse's 4th of the quarter. We invite you to stick around going down to the final seconds here in McCamish. Tonie Morgan, Cam Swartz leading the way. Can they lead the Jackets to their first ACC win? The Yellow Jackets looking for a 5th win in a row over the Orange, and could a freshman lead them to the summit? Tonie Morgan, 14 points and 14 rebounds. Not only a career high, Tag Gurnett, but it's a season high for any Georgia Tech player. 5'9", but rebounding out of her area, getting up high and cleaning up misses for her team.
Well, the Georgia Tech staff said they don't care who it is. Somebody's got to step up and be a leader in the categories. And when you're setting career marks, that's leadership right there.
The pull-up, Jackson, no. Racing after her own miss, she gets it.
Reset the clock, control the tempo, push and pull the defense in and out in this matchup zone.
Rifle to Jackson, no. Carter fighting for it, hits the deck. Blackshear with it. And Georgia Tech with another fresh possession. Both teams getting after it on these rebounds.
So this is a difference that's a difference maker, Andy. Controlling offensive tempo.
Jackson, 2 more. Jackets have their largest lead. And you knew the seniors and the veterans would be heard from down the stretch. Bianca Jackson has 6. Her career high as a Florida State Seminole against Syracuse. Orange, meanwhile, just 25% in the second half. Offensive rebound, this time to Wood. Fair got a quick breather, but stroll into the scorer's table. Hyman on the handle. Backs down on Morgan. Fade away falls.
So what I like about this is Hyman doing the same thing. Taking it in, stepping back, controlling tempo, taking what they give instead of forcing something offensively. Both these defensive-oriented teams are playing great offensive schemes.
Back to back by Bianca Jackson.
Just a great job reading the defense there.
And now Hyman clears away her defender. Loose, Swartz tied up. Foul called. Now Hyman was in attack mode off the inbound. But Bianca Jackson has been in attack mode herself.
she and Swartz have the experience. We talk about how the freshmen come in and they don't have time on the clock. Well, even though these young women are coming in as graduate transfers and they've got a lot of experience, they still have the same exact time on the clock as these freshmen with Coach Fortner. Young team.
Yep. Now it's about closing time for the Yellow Jackets. 0-7 in the ACC. Leading Syracuse by 5, less than 3 to go. Jackson kept the pivot foot down.
Just
deflected Carter. Shot clock at 5. Has to hurry. Carter, turnaround. Blasted in. Aviance Carter's second field goal of the night, but it gives the Jackets a 7-point lead.
Aviance Carter is the difference maker for the Yellow Jackets, both ends.
Rice follows her own miss. Foul off the ball. It's going on Georgia Tech, but Aviance Carter. Well, sometimes urgency is the mother of invention in basketball, and Carter with a shot clock in the dying seconds, able to kiss it off the glass.
This is when one of my favorite quotes comes into play. Coach Lombardi, the harder I work, the luckier I get. This kid works so hard day in, day out. Just comes with the same energy level. Control the controllables.
Meanwhile, could it be another fraught fourth for the Orange? Rice, no. Gets her own miss. Hits the deck. We have a whistle, and we have a travel.
Coach Jack is trying to call the timeout. She's trying to get the kids out of that situation. And right now, the Orange, the push, the pull, they've got to stick to their game. Do the things that have brought them here, which is high energy, intense defense, and electric offense.
Now they're going to put on the Clamson full court. Morgan able to break it, and timeout Nell Fortner wants to get her team set with now 1:58 remaining. Georgia Tech up by 7. Is this the night they get their first ACC win?
Mac, what year was it again?
Well, the last time Georgia Tech began ACC play 0-7 was back in 1985. Even Nell Fortner said it's been on their hearts heavy. A golden opportunity here with Buzz watching on. 1:58 remaining. Up 62-55 over a Syracuse team that fought Notre Dame into the fourth quarter on Sunday, and that snapped a 3-game win streak for the Orange. Well, if you're Felicia Legette-Jack, you have some people who can rip off 7 points in about 20 seconds in Dyaisha Fair and Teisha Hyman, but it all starts on the defensive end because possessions are getting scarce.
So both these coaches know, here's your runs that you're talking about. What this comes down to is possession basketball. Forget all the numbers, forget all the stats, forget what's happened in 1985 or 1582. This is what's happening tonight. One team has 2 offensive possessions and one team has 2 defensive possessions. And which team can stretch out their offensive possessions and shorten the defensive possessions is going to win the game.
You know, whether Hyman intended to or not, she stopped the clock. She popped Jackson in the eye, puts Georgia Tech in the bonus. Jackson 84% at the free throw line this year.
She's been there, done that. You just see how this is when the experience comes in. This is when it has nothing to do with the system or do you know the defensive tags or can you understand the pro schemes that we're running. This is basketball, player for player, possession for possession.
And Jackson now 15 of 16 at the free throw line in the ACC. All of a sudden, Syracuse chasing 9 points. Need to hurry. They've only made 2 threes all night. Hyman dribbles it off her foot. Loose on the deck. Blackshear dives and rescues it. Morgan to the basket for 2 more. And the crowd can sense it now at McCamish, and so can the Yellow Jackets. Up to an 11-point lead with 1:32 to go.
Andy, refs make calls, coaches make players, players make plays. And here's a player that's been making big-time plays all night long.
And bringing the crowd to its feet, Tonie Morgan, give her 16, which is 1 shy of tying a career high, but that basket was all set up by the hustle of Kayla Blackshear. You know it all the time, first on the floor, You hear every coach echo that refrain, and Blackshear certainly heeded those words to get a big bucket for the Jackets.
She was one of our players to watch when we started this. You see Coach Jack, she's been in this situation before. She's probably single-handedly scored 9 points versus the other team's 0 to take it into overtime. So now we're at this juncture where you say, okay, I got it. Now, how do I impart it to my teams? The spirit of the mentor that is in her. She knows it can be done. So does Nell Fortner. And she's making sure that her team understands. Both these coaches have been in situations where they've seen this happen before.
I'll tell you what, eavesdropping on that huddle tag, she's got her team's full attention. It's a 12-2 Tech run over the last 3:22. It was a 1-point game at the midway mark of the fourth quarter. But Jackson, Morgan coming to life and stretching this out.
One possession at a time. Every pass is gold right now. Every possession is important in terms of passing, cutting, scoring.
Syracuse needs to get a quick one. Leading time off the clock. Hyman, a step back three. Off the mark. Rebound Jackets and Blackshear again.
Hey, Georgia Tech will let them take all day. Dribble in, pass out. As long as the clock's running, it's time and score right now. It still doesn't feel like Tech's up by 11. It just doesn't feel that way on the sideline.
It's been an impressive defensive performance by the Jackets. Syracuse right now, 33%. Pass was kicked, and they'll reload 20 on the shot clock. Syracuse not jumping around, not trapping, not trying to foul. Evidently, they see the writing on the wall. And look, Coach Jack, we caught up with her after shoot-around. Very respectful of this Georgia Tech defense, the problems it could create for her team, as offensively gifted as they are. And it has come to a realization tonight at McCamish, and there's a foul on Jackson.
One of her golden thread phrases, Coach Jack. If you can't win the lesson. Now, you just do the math. I still use a calculator. I got 2 degrees from Georgia Tech. I still use a calculator. I know you don't because you're a savant and your brain works like that. But she says if you do the math and you say you just can't, you know it's not impossible. What is possible is we're going to win the lesson. We may not win the game, but we're going to win the lesson. And it's a teaching moment. Both these coaches are educators. Coach Nell Fortner, they are teachers at heart. Georgia Tech getting this space, learning to put away a game. This is something that Coach Nell Fortner does in her sleep, but she can't impart that. You have to play it out. The clock ticks, and you're the one on the court, and you got to put the ball in the hole.
There's still more than half of ACC play remaining, so you never know what this could do for the balance of Georgia Tech's schedule. Hyman coast to coast. Syracuse timeout. 67-57. 44 seconds left.
Okay, I've got a lot more gray hair than you. I've seen a junior college game, 1 minute and 6 seconds, a 21-point game.
Wow.
I saw it with my own eyes. When you are coaching, you feel this urgency. Syracuse, there's no quit in them. You have to make short. Coach Nell Fortner is talking with the same level of intensity as I am right now, and I'm not coaching the game. She understands how there is no quit in this Syracuse team. Coach Jack is coaching till the final click. And can they scoop and score? Can they steal and score? You better believe it, partner.
They lead the ACC in steals. They can be larcenists, but only 44 seconds left. And down 10, Nell Fortner calls a 30-second timeout.
I stinking love it, man. Okay, so you just feel all this energy and the horn runs, and they're already set. Syracuse is already set in their full court zone. And then Coach Fortner just casually calls a 30-second timeout. What does that do? Georgia Tech has the momentum. She says, hey, Uncle Mo, come back over here and sit with us for a while. I want to talk to you for a few more seconds.
He's got 4 players in double figures tonight, led by Swartz, who's 17. It's been a resurgent night for Cam Swartz. Held to a season-low 3-point Sunday versus Duke. She has really struggled with her shot in ACC play, but 17 points to pace the Jackets. Morgan has 16, and even more impressive, 14 boards for the freshman. Jackson with 11, Blackshear 10. Georgia Tech calls time so they can, of course, advance it to the forecourt.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Coach Jack saying, let it get over there. Go for the steal. Even if you foul, it doesn't matter. We're looking for the steal and the score.
And now you're hoping for some misses against the Georgia Tech team that is on pace to shatter a school record in single-season free throw percentage. And Carter right on cue sinks the first. Makes the Jackets 18 of 22 at the free throw line.
Let me tell you what Georgia Tech has wanted all game long, for the clock to stop. Let me tell you what they don't want for 43.5, for the clock to stop. They want that clock to run.
Carter coolly sinks the second. It was a one-point game going into the fourth quarter. Georgia Tech on top. Morgan yanks in the rebound. A 15th board for Morgan. Trying to fend off the double team. She gets the foul called.
Smart. Hard, smart. Syracuse going for the steal. Hyman hits the three right there. She comes down the floor. The clock is stopped, but we're watching her right now, and she just drained the three while the clock was stopped.
So Morgan will have a chance to perhaps get a new career high.
Okay.
Hobbling a down down floor. I would not be surprised if those are cramps, given how often she has been elevated for those boards. You see Bianca Jackson trying to flex out her right leg.
Rub a little dirt in
That's
it.
what teammates
Let's
are for.
go.
Yep.
Let me tell you what helps cramps feel really, really better, really, really fast when you have one more point than the other team you're playing.
Morgan's season high as a freshman, also her career high, 17 against USF.
Georgia Tech record, we know, has not been reflective of their play, but they've got to close these games regardless of what the point spread is.
Hyman pounding away on Swartz, barrels into her, and that is an offensive foul.
Yeah, I think that they saw it coming. I think there might have been a little bit of frustration there, but understandable. She played her heart out tonight.
Inez Noero subs in for the Yellow Jackets. As you see, the cramps still bothering Tonie Morgan. And right to the edge of the bench. That might be screams of agony, but in about 15 seconds, Georgia Tech will have some screams of joy and perhaps some sighs of relief as well. 0-7 to begin ACC play. A team that's had 3 straight years with double-digit conference wins had to wait a lot longer than Nell Fortner had hoped. But they finally etched their name into the win column in conference play with an impressive performance against Syracuse tonight. The final score from McCamish Pavilion, Tech 69 and Syracuse 57. And Nell Fortner's team in the win column in no small part thanks to her sensational freshman Tonie Morgan.